to the Onside Kick. Ricky Widmer here along with Dave Oster.
Hey, guys.
And Mark Weber.
How's it going?
And we're here to talk some more football for you guys here on fansiderradio.com. We're going to be talking some Bears, some NFL, maybe might fit in some college later if we have some time. But guys, Bears, they get the job done. Trustman gets the win in his debut, 24-21 over the Bengals. The offensive line looked pretty good in this one.
Yeah, it shows that if we get the crap off the line, pay up for some top-level talent and draft smart, guess what? Cutler, 0 sacks on the day.
It was huge. Cutler is on his feet. We had some decent run blocking as well. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it didn't need to be because Matt Forte was a weapon in the passing game as well. And this is exactly what we need out of our all-purpose back. He's the safety valve. Also with Martellus Bennett, who we have the smaller, quicker safety valve, and the big guy who we saw in the red zone can go hold on to the ball, which is incredible.
The other thing he holds on to is the, opponents. It cost us twice during that game.
He needed some help. And a fun thing is, after the game, he actually admitted that he didn't really do that well blocking. He said that he needed some help out there from the offensive line, and hopefully that's something that gets fixed.
Brought back a couple good plays. But yeah, as the year goes, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to work that out.
Well, and the one thing, you bring up Matt Forte, Mark, and this is one question I'm going to throw out there. If he's more a part of the passing game, are you happy then with this 50 rushing yards? He gets a rushing touchdown, but also has 41 receiving yards on 4 receptions.
I don't think 2.6 yards per carry is acceptable. I really don't. I think that he definitely, like I said, great pass protection as far as the line goes, but they're not getting the push up front to get that run game going. I think we needed to go back to the zone blocking that we saw in the preseason early on, where we saw Forte just gashing people. If we get back into that kind of a setup, I'll be really happy.
Well, I think a big issue I had with the offense was it was a little too conservative. And we wanted Forte to be a big part of it, and that's important. And you want to keep your star running back happy. But it wasn't working out every single time. When it worked great. And then there was some other times where we wanted more out of it. And Jay Cutler, I wish we had seen more out of the gunslinger version of Jay Cutler. He only threw the ball down the field like 4 times. And we could have used more because they knew we wanted Forte to be our main guy, so we had more opportunities if we had taken them into play calling. I think we could have scored some more points, and it wouldn't have been as close.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And when, like you said, he only threw it down the field a couple of times, but when he did, huge grin on my face. He's just whipping the ball around, and he's getting things done. You saw Marshall with the amazing catch in the end zone, and that thing was flying so fast.
Well, one of the things I think about is maybe do you think a little bit that Trustman, kind of to compare it over to Chip Kelly in Philadelphia, didn't want to give opponents too much of what they're going to see from the Bears week in and week out. Plus, it was week 1, so you just want the offense working efficiently before you start adding on more things like going deep down the field.
See, I think that we do need to add on things because our game plan's too simple. And it really seemed like Cincinnati had really no issues dealing with us. We didn't have a high success rate against them. Cutler defaulted back to Marshall as the game progressed, which I don't mind because Marshall's fantastic, and he's probably the number 3 wide receiver in the league. It's just kind of one of those things where it's sad to see a game plan kind of crumbling because of the lack of results in our run game and the conservative play calling. But on the other end, I was watching Cincinnati, and they're just whipping the ball around to A.J. Green, just heaps of yards at a time.
Well, and if you're a Bears fan, you got to be happy. You bring up Brandon Marshall. Yeah, he had the most targets out of Bear receivers, but when you see Bennett with 6 targets, Jeffries and Forte had 8 and 6 respectively, you're sitting there going, okay, Marshall got 4 more targets than Bennett, who had the second most yards in the team. He had 2 more from Jeffries. He's going to get more targets, but it's spread around a lot more. It's not just Marshall.
It is good to have it be spread around, and when you have your number 1 guy, you kind of expect a lot of those passes to go to him. We see it with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's one of those teams that people are thinking, hey, maybe they can go for a Super Bowl this time. And who are they throwing to? A.J. Green. It's their one guy, and it worked really well. If you can get something like that, you might have those extra guys that you can rely on just in case Marshall's being taken out of the game. But there's nothing wrong with having your number one guy who can do an amazing job. I mean, just look at teams like the Texans. They got a number one guy who's going to get it done all the time. The Lions, number one guy who can get it done all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the issue that we had last season was that teams were able to take advantage of it because there was no one else.
Well, and that's where I think the Bears, too, are going to be put under, at least for me, a little bit more of a microscope when it comes to this, because last season, one of the only games where someone basically shut down Marshall and beat the Bears was Green Bay at Green Bay last season, where they said, hey, you know what, beat us with someone else, and the Bears couldn't. This year, I feel like if Green Bay comes in and tries to do that same thing, Trestman's going to have it to where Cutler is throwing to Jeffries, throwing to Martellus Bennett, hitting Forte on some swing passes to get this offense going.
Absolutely. It's just the idea of having the options there is fantastic. I think we all agree in that. Yeah, it just comes down to let's not throw it in a triple coverage so often, Jay. That's all we're asking for. Not every time. I know you got an arm. I know you love to use it, but you don't have to whip it out every time.
The good thing is, though, we saw situations where it was thrown into double coverage or something like that in the end zone with Bennett. We saw that, and still Bennett was able to hold on to the ball, make sure he had the ball, and have a fantastic catch, keeping his feet in, so we got the touchdown. That was great, especially because what did Martellus Bennett do to start out the game? He dropped the first pass. Not what you want to see. He definitely made up for it in the passing game.
But he had a nice touchdown grab in the back of the end zone.
He made up for his early on mistake in the passing game. He can use some help to kind of block and not get fouls called on him. But I don't know. I think we do need to be aware of the fact that he isn't as great of a pass blocker or a run blocker, and he's going to have some holding calls, which are going to hurt us later on if we're not careful.
Well, and now to kind of flip things over to the Bears' defensive side in week one, I mean, fantasy owners are looking at the Bears saying, do what you did for me last season. And they kind of did that. They had 3 turnovers forced, a fumble, and 2 interceptions. The only problem that I saw with the Bears' defense is, yes, they got interceptions, but they weren't going for touchdowns like they did last season.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't expect that out of them every single time. Tillman almost took one back, but upon further review, they call him down to the spot of the interception.
I was so mad when that happened.
Yeah, that was an exciting play. It just, I don't know if he was running really slow, but it seemed like he was running forever and ever, and he wasn't getting anywhere. But no, this Bears defense, I was a bit confused. It was like, oh my God, they're going to get all these turnovers, but then they just kept giving up huge chunks of yardage. And the one really disappointing thing was when Andy Dalton caught him completely off guard. They weren't completely set up. Called hike, forced Tillman to make a good pass interference to save them from a touchdown. I mean, it dropped him down the 1 yard line, but come on. It's just embarrassing to be caught off like that by a team not even running the hurry up offense. They just got up there, lined up, and were like, hey, look, you guys aren't even set. Let's go.
You know, I don't want to kind of beat a dead horse because I'm set that John Bostic was not the starter. But when you have a guy who's in your middle, he's used to helping Briggs get everything set up right, and then game 1 of the regular season you switch back to DJ Williams, I think that hurt the team a little bit. There wasn't that kind of team atmosphere. There was a lot of individual guys making individual plays, and I think that's what kind of led to some mistakes.
And I mean, stat-wise, Williams didn't have the most sexiest stat line with only 3 tackles and 1 solo.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go out of his mind playing. He did a fine job, but I think an issue that we had was stopping Ben Jarvis Green Ellis a lot of times. He was able to just run right through us, and then we kind of were caught off guard with him, it seemed like.
Well, you bring up Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. Who do the Bears got this week? They have a guy that last year, first game of the season, in AD, torched him for 108 yards, then 154 and 2 touchdowns in their second meeting. If you're looking at this Bears team going into week 2, are you kind of scared about what Adrian Peterson can do to this Bears defense?
Yes and no. After watching what he did last week, the first play, I was like, oh, he's going to run for 2,500 yards.
What did he do
called
after?
It. Nothing. absolutely nothing. And that kind of makes me think, I'm like, okay, so we've had a couple years to game plan for him. I think we're going to set up a better perimeter as far as containment goes with him, so he won't break off the giant runs, hopefully. But then there's always the upside of, hey, at least Christian Ponder's their quarterback. We got a shot. We got a very good shot picking him off.
That's a great point because the defense, that's what we do. That's Chicago Bears football. The defense keeps the offense in the game. And, yeah, you're not going to stop Adrian Peterson. It's not going to happen.
You can only hope to contain him.
Exactly. And a situation like with the Bengals, Green Ellis was able to bust some stuff out early on, and then we kind of adjusted to it. Hopefully that's something the Bears can do. They can adjust to Adrian Peterson and make sure they're taking things away and then taking away the passing game. If you take away the passing game, you make them so heavily reliant on Adrian Peterson. Hopefully then you can kind of make them one-dimensional and stop that running game.
Let's be honest, you can put like 9 in the box against the Vikings without really having to worry about getting help over the top from safeties. So I'm really hoping they lean heavily towards back in the box early to shut down AD.
See, I don't know. I mean,
Christian Ponder can't throw the ball deep.
He
accurately.
can if you're saying pack everyone in the box, he's going to do to you what he did last year.
You do bump
Wright.
and run, and there's no way that defensive line doesn't get to him.
How many times and this is what I'm saying, week 1, the Vikings, I will say, horrible. But how many times last year did teams would pack like so many people in the box, either AP would bust off a big run, or
AD.
Ponder would play action and then hit right top of the field. I mean, yes, Jennings was terrible week 1. Simpson was our best receiver with 8 targets, 140 yards.
I got to hand it to you. I didn't expect him to be that good.
I want to see more out of our rookie, too, Cordell Patterson, but I feel like everything, even the run game, starts with Christian Ponder. And to me, I feel like, I hate to say this season, Christian Ponder is going to have to be a game manager and set up Adrian Peterson. If you're letting the Lions pick you off 3 times and their defense is like Swiss cheese, there's no reason why the Bears can't have 25 fantasy points this week.
I legitimately think this has got to be like make or break time for Christian Ponder. He's got this year, and if he doesn't make it happen, there's some decent quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, you got AD, you got to hold on to him, and you got to win now. So,
a thing last year is the Vikings showed what they can possibly do. And if you have this year where you don't get it done, you're not back in the playoffs, you pretty much have to replace Christian Ponder because there's something wrong. And in the NFL, what do we look to immediately? The quarterback. The quarterback's going to be the first thing to go if it's not the head coach. And I don't think it's going to be the head coach this time.
Yep. They only got 2 people with records attached to their name.
Exactly. And Christian Ponder, unfortunately, I don't see him lasting too much longer. And Matt Castle, I don't think he's very much of a better player than Christian Ponder.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ponder goes out and throws at least three interceptions against the Bears this week. I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Castle is starting week 3.
And it's a shame, too, because at the end of last year, we really saw something like Christian Ponder where I was like, this guy is a legit quarterback.
Well, at the same time, Adrian Peterson was. It's easy to have a good season when your running back is looking to break records.
That's true.
And I mean, yes, Adrian Peterson last week only had that big run for 78 yards and then finished with 93. But at the same time, how much did we have to run when we were always playing from behind?
No, you're absolutely right. But sadly, I think that's still. I mean, yeah, I understand you're behind, the time sensitive, but when you go from an A+ quality weapon like Adrian Peterson to like a C-,
at best.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a C-.
You were trying to sugarcoat it because I'm the Vikings fan in the room. But
consider it.
And another thing, I feel like Brandon Marshall, I'm going to throw a little thing at him, what he should do this week, attack Xavier Rhodes. Because there was a play last week where Vikings only down by 3. It's a 3rd and 10. We actually stopped the pass. Oh, what's that? The rookie makes a dumb mistake. Pass interference gives the Lions a first down. I'm sitting there going, what the are you thinking?
And you know he's going to be nervous, too. I mean, he's going up against a great receiver and probably, like Dave said, one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's going to be nervous. He's going to be thinking, I got to do something to get an advantage out here, especially with the Bears because every single one of our receivers is tall.
Yeah, I think we have the tallest core of wide receiver, tight end starting.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, we did go up against arguably the best receiver in the league.
Yeah,
and
so he
Calvin
went up
Johnson,
against number one.
and we only limited to 37. But here's the key, and why Matt Forte I think will be more key than the receivers for the Bears. Reggie Bush, 4 receptions, 101 yards.
And that's huge. That's enormous if the Bears can get that done. The key for the Chicago Bears in this game against the Vikings is going to be get ahead early. Don't let the Vikings stick around, because the Vikings stick around, AD is going to get it done. AD can carry the team. If you force them, and I said, be one-dimensional to where you can take away that running game before, Christian Ponder's not going to get it done.
No, he's not.
He's not. So if you can get ahead early and force him to throw the ball, Tillman and Jennings are going to have interceptions all day.
I mean, and this scares me as a Vikings fan. Looking at the stats for Reggie Bush from last week, 4 receptions, 101 receiving yards, like I said, a touchdown. Rushing, he had 90 yards on 21 carries. I don't see a reason why Matt Forte can't have at least 100 rushing yards and 50 receiving yards. That's being nice. He could have way more than that in this game in week 2.
Yeah, Forte is definitely a different level athlete than Reggie Bush is at this point in his career. It all depends on how we game plan against him. I mean, I'm not Trustman, but I would definitely agree. I think we could go pass happy early, get up, and then just absolutely pound the ball.
And Mark, you were the one that said the Bears were too conservative in week 1. How many deep chances do the Bears take in week 2? I almost said week 3. Week 2 against the Vikings.
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I want them to take more this time. I think they should just double it, at least. We need more opportunities, especially because when you think of the Vikings defense, you're not thinking about the secondary. So with that being said, you can take those shots and you can probably get away with some good plays. With that being said, I don't think that Trestman's really going to try and get it done that way. I think Trestman wants to establish that we have the kind of short to intermediate passes and the run game, and we will drive down the field and get it done efficiently and effectively. And I think he's not going to really try and get away from that in this game.
Yeah, we don't really have a sexy offense. We've got all of the talent necessary to be extremely good on offense, but it's not that sexy playmaker style.
Yeah, but to be honest, how many Super Bowl champions in recent years have had super sexy offenses? Besides maybe the Saints?
Well, I would
how
say,
many different receivers they
I would
throw
call
to?
the Packers
Yeah,
offense
True.
a sexy
I forgot
offense.
I forget about that Super Bowl because, they're the Packers.
It's something that you don't want to remember.
No, it's not. But I mean, last thing to round out the Bears, picks. And I'm gonna go first this time. I'm gonna pick my Vikings to lose.
Wise move, Ricky.
Good choice, Ricky.
I'm with you right there. Your Vikings will lose.
Yeah, Bears, no reason why the Bears shouldn't have this. They got the advantage in pretty much every single position.
I will say, though, I hope AD runs for over 100 yards. But next, we're going to go to kind of a more national scope. We're going to run through all the games. Most of them, we're just going to make our picks. But the big games of the week, we're going to talk about. The first one, we're just going to make picks. Rams-Falcons. I'm going with the Falcons.
Falcons got this one. Too much talent on that offense.
And they lost that first game, so they got to bounce back. Taking the Falcons.
Okay, Panthers-Bills. This is, honestly, I want to see in this one, can E.J. Manuel step up after having Tom Brady just steal one away from him in the last seconds?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I was more impressed with E.J. Manuel or more impressed with how bad that Patriots offense was week 1. But you gotta give E.J. Manuel credit. He played a solid game. The only thing I'm thinking here is, why aren't the Bills doing what the Redskins are doing? That bugs the shit out of me. They got C.J. Spiller, E.J. Manuel. Run the goddamn option right.
I'm surprised they didn't. It's strange, unless they're thinking the same thing if we move over into the West with Colin Kaepernick. Look at what Jim Harbaugh is saying. I don't want my quarterback to get injured. So he's going to pass the ball. If you have to run, I'm not upset. But stay in the pocket. I think that's the problem for some people or the advantage for other people with the Bills.
Well, and look at who the Bills are playing this week. Cam Newton. He was the one, even before Kaepernick, RG3, before this option read was like the it thing, he was kind of like the guy that came out and was like, yeah, I can run and pass at the same time.
Nothing new. I'm sorry.
It happens every now and then we see it. And I think that basically he just kind of started this second wave or maybe third wave of quarterbacks who do this. And only this time it's a lot bigger. The pool's bigger.
Absolutely.
Now, the thing that there's an advantage for E.J. Manuel is that Panthers secondary, not strong. So if he has a good offensive game and he has a good passing game, no problem. If he kind of scares them a little bit and says, I might run, that secondary is going to creep up and he's going to be able to go right over the top. And the Bills' defense, they did a good job against Tom Brady in that weak offense, but it's still Tom Brady. It's still impressive.
Yeah, I give him credit for it, definitely.
So they can do a fine job against Cam Newton. And it surprises me because I didn't expect the Bills to really be in the competition to win very many games. But I say they got the Panthers on this one.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Mark. I'm going to go Bills as well.
I'm going to disagree with you here. I think entirely based on the lack of Bills using their offensive weapons correctly. I think they've got them. They're just not putting all the pieces together in the right order. I got the Panthers taking this one. I think Cam Newton is having a great year.
Well, moving on, another big game this week going to be on Fox. Redskins go to Green Bay. The Packers 0-1 after a big loss. I'm going to blame it on Clay Matthews, why the Niners beat the Packers last week.
I mean, it definitely affected the game, but I don't think it decided the game
He's
for them.
going out of bounds. Just let him go.
It didn't decide the game for him. That's all I'm saying.
And if you're a Packers fan, we got to take a moment here. As a Bears fan, once again, Packers are complaining, oh, the refs caused us to lose this game.
Sounds like a Green Bay thing to me.
It is, and Clay Matthews is lucky he didn't get a second penalty, if not ejected from that game for throwing a punch. He threw a punch at Kaepernick.
Look what
not
happened.
Kaepernick. It was the guard who came in.
Look at what happened in this week's Thursday night game. 2 Jets get ejected for doing that.
The NFL is saying, and I'm actually, as much as we kind of get on the NFL for being the no fun league, this one I'm pretty okay with. When this isn't hockey, we don't want to see people throwing punches and basically just being punks out there.
Nothing to do with the game of football.
Exactly. So Clay Matthews needs to get put in line. He got that $15,000 fine.
Whoop-de-doo.
It's not really that big. Yeah, it could have been worse for him. McCarthy needs to, get that guy back in line, have him playing straight, because Colin Kaepernick is going to do this, or did the same things that RG3 is going to do to the Packers. He's going to be able to throw it, and now he's going to run it, and I think, obviously, Shanahan's going to let him run it more than Harbaugh let Kaepernick run. So this game, I don't know. It's tough. It's hard to think about.
It depends on how RG3 is going to play, because we saw Kaepernick last week, and it looked like to me the Packers were so concerned about what can he do with his legs that they forgot, he can throw the ball too.
And I like how you mentioned, well, let's see what Shanahan lets RG3 do. It doesn't matter what, is on the game plan to RG3. RG3 should go out there and do whatever the hell he feels like. He made that apparent very early.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing. Is RG3 going to have a good enough game to beat the Packers? Because the Packers are basically seeing the same type of quarterback twice.
Yep, except
Kaepernick's better.
Similar set, but yeah, Kaepernick's got the better arm, a little bit more accurate, but RG3 can throw that deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. The Packers' defense, not so great. I mean, besides a couple guys here and there, RG3 should have no problem picking apart this defense. What we're going to see, and this is what we saw, the only reason that the Packers were even close to being in this game against the 49ers, Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, getting out there, getting it done with his receivers that he made into stars.
And also, one thing I was just thinking of, Clay Matthews doesn't have to worry about RG3 going out of bounds. RG3 will stay inbound, so Matthews can just go bam.
I'm saying if Matthews lays that same type of hit that he laid on Kaepernick on RG3,
Inbounds.
He might miss. I don't care if it's inbounds or out of bounds.
It's a vicious hit.
RG3 might miss some time.
Yep.
Because he's still, as much as he wants to claim he's 100%, he's
Goal.
not 100% right now.
I totally agree with you.
It's going to hurt him. I don't know. This one's tough. I'm going with the Packers. But with that being said, there's a good chance that this Packers defense, once again, lets a game get by.
I'm going to have to go with the mobile quarterback with my hatred of the Packers. I'm picking the Redskins.
I got RG3 throwing, running, and I'm really hoping Alfred Morris shows a little bit more this week. I think week 1 was a pretty bad week for a lot of runners, and I'm really hoping they break out this week.
There's a lot of stars in fantasy football that should have gotten it done and really did not do much for their runners. A lot of unhappy fantasy owners.
Yeah, you're talking to one.
I think
CJ Spiller, negative.
How much did I beat you by?
I'm sorry, David Wilson was negative.
I beat you by
CJ Spiller had
50
like
points.
3. It was bad. It was bad. I combined 2 running backs for even odds 0, I'm pretty sure.
So, someone's happy in this room.
Somebody, yeah.
Hey, I'm happy too. I won by 5 points.
It's all right. I've already called it this year. Terrell Pryor's my starting quarterback. It's going down.
Well, now we're talking fantasy. The guy I started last week, Andrew Luck, he's going to host the Dolphins in week 2. And guys, Andrew Luck threw for 400 yards on the Dolphins last year. Who wins this game?
Without a doubt, Andrew Luck should have this one. The Dolphins are still kind of figuring some things out. Their new weapons on offense aren't adjusted yet. Andrew Luck can get this done.
Come on, Brian Hartline. He's your big offensive weapon. Mike Wallace, I think didn't we all pretty much assume that he was going to bust?
I don't know why. One thing I will say about Mike Wallace, I don't know why he was so much. He's like, yeah, I didn't get enough throws to me. You won the stupid game.
Doesn't
Shut
matter.
up.
That doesn't matter.
Shut up, you won.
He wants some personal glory.
If you want to keep playing, he would have stayed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I mean, he wanted to be the number 1 guy. He goes to the Dolphins, figures Tannehill's got to throw to somebody. It's going to be me.
It's
For him,
gonna
unfortunately,
be
it
me.
didn't happen.
You forgot Hartline was the number 1 receiver for the last 4 years for the Miami Dolphins.
I got the Colts. No reason why Andrew Luck should lose in Indy.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's the Colts.
And moving on, Cowboys, Chiefs. I'm just going to say it. I know it was the Jaguars, but I'm surprised the Chiefs got a win.
I'm not surprised they got a win. I think they'll get a few wins in this game. I mean, obviously, I'm low on this team because Alex Smith, not the best quarterback.
He looked
Bullshit.
great against Jacksonville.
Against Jacksonville, I'm sure he'll look like Tom Brady.
Which is why I'm counting on Terrell Pryor this week. But no, sorry, I had to throw that in there. Alex Smith is a extremely efficient quarterback with a very smart head coach. Don't underrate that.
He is, and I'm not going to underrate the fact that he is a great game managing quarterback. Now, when he's going up against the new defense here with Kippen and with Rod Marinelli, us in Chicago know he's great at getting turnovers. This team is all about turnovers. Alex Smith does not have reliable targets except for Dwayne Bowe.
But is Alex Smith going to turn over the ball as much as Manning did last week?
And it's okay because Manning still had a shot to win that game with about 3 minutes left.
And that shows how terrible that the Cowboys can be.
You
Exactly.
actually want to know something about that game between the Manning brothers?
Yeah.
Both Mannings, same completion, same attempts, same yards. The only difference, Peyton had 7 touchdowns. Eli had 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
That's impressive.
It's impressively
Very
bad.
impressive. I say that the Chiefs will win this game because I think the Cowboys are just a weak team. With that being said, I don't think it's going to be all that impressive of a win.
So you said Cowboys?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay.
The Cowboys had incredible amounts of turnovers against the Giants and still let them stay in the game.
I'm going to agree with you only because, I feel like Andy Reid is going to get done in Kansas City. And the Cowboys, Jerry World usually falls off at some point. Why not week 2?
Not yet. Hold on to Romo. He's going to make things happen. I got the Cowboys taking this.
Well, in our next game, Chargers looked horrible, I'm going to say, on Monday Night Football against the Texans. Eagles looked great on Monday Night Football against the Redskins. Both going head-to-head. Chip Kelly's second chance to show off his offense, this time in Philly.
Yeah, Vic, if he makes it out in one piece, it'll be amazing.
Well, the Chargers defense isn't anything to be too scared of.
He is lucky that a certain man who graduated from Notre Dame is not out there. I'm just tossing it out there.
I'm not so sure about that one.
Yeah.
But anyways, Teo aside and his wonderful girlfriend, who I love that
I'm
picture,
just saying.
by the way. If you haven't seen the picture, look for the picture where it's like someone holding up a thing that's like, what's her name? Linnea Kukua's nudes?
Nude photos
yeah,
from
and
College
it's
Game
just
Day.
nothing. Just
Oh,
nothing.
it's great.
There. But anyways,
I'm just saying. You saw how great he looked against those pro-sized players against Alabama. So you know it's just going to translate right into the NFL. Can't tackle a running back. Don't worry about it.
He would have a lot of trouble out there against the Eagles. But here's the thing. Okay, Chargers. There's no reason they should have lost that game. They were ahead. They had everything going, and then you saw Phillip Rivers being current Phillip Rivers. Receivers over here, the ball's over there. That's what's going to happen against the Eagles. And then Chip Kelly, we're still early in the season. Chip Kelly's offense is still going to be good. The question is, and I said this before we even started recording actually, week 10, week 11, who's going to be left and who's not going to be broken down?
Yeah, that is the thing. And I love the fact that, for the most part, the media is just absolutely sucking on Vic's, to be fair with you. And Chip Kelly. No love to McCoy. Dude ran for 184 yards. No love.
I don't know what the
Workhorse.
From what I've seen when I watched the pregame for NFL Network with the Patriots and the Jets, they just kept bad mouthing the Eagles. Like, I don't know why you're running this offense. College, you get more players. This offense ain't gonna survive. This and that, just bashing, and it goes back to a meme I saw this week of one of the scenes from The Hangover. And it's like, haters gonna hate, and it's just Chip Kelly giving the jerk-off sign. Like, haters gonna hate, I don't care as long as I win.
Yeah, and let's be honest, this is a pretty simple offense. I think they said they have around like 12 core plays in this offense, and it's all just variations off of those. And, Chip Kelly is very successful with this in Oregon. He had, numerous quarterbacks come in, numerous running backs. Everybody looks great. And that's why I think it's going to work fine. Even if they do go man down, the next man up won't be a big deal. I understand if you lose Vic, it's obviously a pretty big deal. But as far as wide receivers go, running backs, I think there's just going to be a drop-off in talent. But I think the system will work. It's a good system for fresh guys.
Let me put it this way. At Oregon last season, everyone knew DeAnthony Thomas. Everyone knew Kenyon Barner.
Yeah.
You knew Thomas for the punt return game. You knew Barner for how the offense ran. As long as LaShawn McCoy's healthy, this offense will be fine.
I completely agree with you.
The issue is just going to be how many hits these guys can take.
McCoy could take more than Vic.
Yeah,
Obviously.
but the thing is, he's already at like 3 weeks worth of hits in game 1.
Yeah, he had, 31 carries week 1, not counting receptions? Come on.
It's just going to be rough for these guys. I mean, that's part of the problem. And you said this before we recorded the podcast, Ricky. He hasn't pulled out everything that he's got. He's still got some tricks in his little bag there.
The two big things I heard from Chip Kelly in his press conference after the Monday night game was, one, we haven't given you everything, which is smart. It's a new offense. People are going to be game planning for it. There has to be some surprises. And two, it kind of made me laugh. Dave, you're going to hate it. He's like, we could have been faster. We could have gave the refs the ball a little bit quicker to get this
I'm going to hit this coach
going.
in the face. I mean, they ran 50-some plays in the first half.
He's just trying
it's
to
like they played an
shave
entire
seconds.
game in the first half. That's what Vic said. Vic went into halftime saying game's over. Like, it felt like we played an entire game in that first half.
And that's an issue. I mean, I don't understand why people kind of just look past that. You're going to run these guys down. I mean, we see it where you get to the end of the season and you're running back, you're kind of counting carries saying, he's about at the limit. We can't give him too many more. And now you're going to hit that limit week 10. And you're just going to... I think, you know what, to be honest, I will say that I was wrong about Chip Kelly's offense. It'll work, and he can get into the playoffs. Come playoff time, they're going to get knocked out. They're going to get killed. They're going to get dominated because they won't be able to really be healthy enough and be alive to play that game.
The way I see it, we'll see. Right now, I'm giving the Eagles all the potential in the world to be great this season.
I want to say one thing, too. The special formation where they only had, 3 linemen.
Were they put all 3 wide receivers on one side and just pack the middle?
Those things, I got to say, we got to stop calling those genius. We see college coaches call that every single day. It's not genius.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's something that is not used in the NFL. 3-4 weeks, everyone's gonna be able to expect it, and it's not gonna cause any problems.
I don't know about you guys in this game though. I'm going Eagles. Eagles big too.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give Philip Rivers a little love. I didn't expect him to throw 4 touchdowns week 1. But
yeah, but he also threw a key interception that lost them the game.
It's Philip Rivers, though. That's a Philip Rivers I expect. I've come to expect a Philip Rivers. So I'm going to go Eagles.
And who made that interception? Cushing.
Yep. I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one as well because we're still early on in the season, and I'm going to be high on the Eagles until about midway.
Well, one game. We're going to pick this game, the winless AFC North battle number 1, Browns at Ravens. Guys, I'm going to go Browns. They get their first win of the year.
I would agree with you if they were at home, but going into Baltimore, the Super Bowl champs, they were just embarrassed.
They look bad.
Got to get one. They got to get a win.
Yeah, I'm giving a revenge day here. I think this could turn into one of those games. It's either going to be extremely close, like, wow, the Ravens really are a terrible team, or they're going to go full beatdown on the Factory of Sadness.
Another one, Titans-Texans. Can the Texans look as good as they did in the closing seconds of that Monday night game?
I think the Texans, purely based off of Arian Foster and Johnson, are going to continue winning. I dislike Schaub, I dislike Kubiak, but I think they'll be like an 8-9 win team
Dave,
because of the talent.
You were talking about being a pissed-off fantasy owner earlier. What are you doing, Arian Foster? Only 57 yards and no touchdowns? I drafted you second overall.
They were in a shootout. They were in a shootout with an uncharacteristically good quarterback.
I want to see more yards from our running back, though.
Everyone wants that. Seriously, I think fans everywhere, fantasy fans everywhere, can be pissed off at running backs.
Well, we all went running backs in the first. It was like, oh, go double. Your first 2 picks, running back, running back.
I'm being fed lies. Lies, Matthew Berry.
It'll all be okay when we get into the season. Running backs still the sound pick in your first 2 rounds, without a doubt. But Arian Foster will get back going again because you know who is not very good? Matt Schaub. Another quarterback. I might sound like I'm repeating myself here, but the receivers over here and the balls over there. It's just bad.
You talking about Schaub or Rivers?
I'm talking about both. They're both the same damn quarterback. Only difference is one of them has weapons. Schaub needs to get replaced on this team if they want to win a Super Bowl. They can beat the Titans because the Titans are the Titans. But this season is spelling some trouble for them.
You want to know what's another difference between them? One goes to the playoff, coach gets fired. One goes to the playoffs, coach doesn't get fired. What's going on in Houston?
Although I will say, I wouldn't. If I was a fan of Houston, I would not be against Kubiak being out of there because they have some dumb ass play calling.
Yeah, no kidding. They got one type of play call, and that's called the stretch. That's what we do. But you gotta give some credit to the Titans here. They came out week 1, surprised a lot of people. Jake Locker played a clean game.
I thought the Jaguars and the Steelers were gonna be the 2 teams with 2 points at the end of the game.
But it wasn't.
It was a miserable first start. I mean,
it wasn't exciting to watch. Let's be honest.
Whole, week 1 was kind of rough. Outside of that amazing
extremely
start.
high, extremely crappy lows.
I mean, immediately you have 3 teams all get safeties.
Mm-hmm.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But in this game, I don't know. I'm going to go Texans. Just because I feel like
Texans.
If they play as well.
I mean, yeah, the Texans are all around a good team. They can beat the Titans even with their quarterback that needs to get kicked out.
CJ 1K.
CJ 1K? Only 1K?
Yup.
Now they're going to get 1,500?
I don't think so.
Wow. Next game we're going to be looking at Lions, Cardinals, and Dave.
This is a tear breaker. Tear jerker, heartbreaker, whatever you want to call it.
I just want to say,
I am conflicted already.
Honey Badger don't give a Rams going to score a touchdown? No, you ain't. I don't give a
Impressive play. He was one of my favorite people to watch during college. One of my favorite pickups in the draft. I absolutely love this secondary of the Cardinals. Love what they're doing. But on the other hand, I got to go give credit to the Lions. Guess what? They built themselves a running back core. So now they're pretty all-around offense. And somehow their secondary, maybe they just look good because they were playing against the Christian Ponder. I mean, it's hard to judge that.
Christian Ponder had a terrible week 1.
They're going to go up against a pretty good quarterback in Carson Palmer here, and with Larry Fitzgerald out there miles ahead of anybody on the Minnesota Vikings receiving corps, it's going to be tough for the Lions. That secondary is going to really be tested, and then you got Matthew Stafford out there and Calvin Johnson, but what's the Honey Badger going to do? What's Peterson going to do? I say Cardinals are going to steal this one.
Well, you bring up Peterson. Interesting fact. I actually looked this up because I was reading SI this week, and they did a feature on Patrick Peterson. And they're like, yeah, the Cardinals are going to use him as a wideout this season. I was like, what? They're going to have him playing both ways? He only got 1 target, didn't catch the ball last week, but I want to see if he becomes a staple in that offense. You don't think he will?
No. Devin Hester 2.0, it's a failure. Don't even waste your time. Don't ruin him.
But he's better than Devin Hester.
No, he's not.
Yeah, but Devin Hester's like very, very far on the bottom here. Being better is not that much. To be better, all he has to do is catch about 3 balls.
I'm still saying Devin Hester's greatest return man of all time still has more offensive production than Patrick Peterson, so come talk to me when you beat one of those 2 things. I don't even like Devin Hester, but still, don't waste it.
I think the sky's the limit for Peterson.
He's going to gator arms out there, and that's just going to ruin him as a player. Same thing it did to Devin Hester. He's just going to be afraid of getting nailed.
I think he's not going to have a problem, just like I think the Cardinals aren't going to have a problem in this game, Dave.
It's great for you. I'm extremely conflicted. Mark?
Oh, I'm taking the Cardinals. Stafford's going to have a rough time against this secondary. It's going to be difficult. Carson Palmer's going to have a fun time.
I love... you guys know, I've been ranting about this Cardinals, what they did in the offseason.
Honey Badger don't give a
They're amazing. Just... Not even they're amazing. It's they're doing the right things to put this franchise back on the map. On the other hand, like I said, you got the Lions who are doing the right thing. I mean, last year was just uncharacteristically bad. The talent on the field doesn't make sense.
Uncharacteristically bad? Uncharacteristically bad?
Okay, so they've been bad for a lot of years, but there was that glimpse of hope, and I hope it wasn't just a glimpse.
I think it was a glimpse. I want to say Larry Fitzgerald looks the happiest he's ever been.
I can't imagine
that Super Bowl year. He looked so happy out there.
Larry Fitzgerald and aging quarterbacks. It's a thing. So I'm not making a decision. No.
You're not picking?
Coin flip. Coin flip.
Who comes first to your head? Neither of us have a coin.
I'm not calling it.
All right. Here's what we're going to do.
You guys both say Cardinals. I will be the contrarian. I will go Lions in a shocker.
Okay.
As much as that's just
And the next two games we're picking.
Didn't feel right.
First off, Saints Buccaneers. I'm going Saints. Drew Brees doesn't lose to Revis.
Yeah, Josh Freeman's getting kicked out of Tampa Bay very soon.
Glennon.
And I think they're just going to do whatever they can to get him out of there. Saints are going to have a great time going into Tampa Bay and crushing them.
Saints are happy to have their head coach back. I got Saints whomping on this team.
Dave, does your quarterback in fantasy get a win? Jaguars at Raiders.
Yes, he do. Yes, he do. You saw what Alex Smith did to this Jaguar team? Are you kidding? Terrell Pryor ripped it up week 1 like I called it.
He should have got a win
I'm that guy this week. I'm like I called it guy.
Like I called it.
I hate it, but I am that guy.
I got to go Raiders, too. Jaguars, 0-16 season is in the works, it looks like.
Jaguars they're rough. They want to go to London. They want to go to L.A.
Yabba dabba gabbert.
I don't know what they're thinking out there. They got no chance against the Raiders.
How many times during a year do you think you're going to say you got no chance against the Raiders?
The Raiders.
Thanks,
That's what
Berman.
I think about. But Manning Bowl, Broncos, Giants.
It's not even close.
Yeah, this isn't even a question. Peyton Manning's going to destroy his brother and that miserable team that they like to call the Giants.
Yeah, the sad thing is Peyton Manning's on probably the Super Bowl favorite at this point. Obviously, they've had just amazing offensive week. And on the other hand, like you said, just turnover.
But the Giants did bring in Brandon Jacobs again.
And screw them for doing that and threatening David Wilson. I still say he gets the most carries. I swear to God, if Coughlin benches him again, I want Coughlin out of town. I'm sick of this. My fantasy running back's choking hard.
He's a
CJ Spiller, David Wilson, pick your up.
You got to hold on to the ball if you want to play in the NFL, David Wilson.
He did the same thing last year, though. Same thing. Horrible start, fumble. out of the games, benched for part of the season, comes back and is just electrifying.
You know what he did when he was electrifying? He held on to the football.
I hope he gets to that point a whole lot quicker this year.
It's hard to go against Manning. I'm going to go Broncos as well.
It's hard to go against Manning, really? There's 2 of them playing this game,
The
jackass.
7-touchdown Manning, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I got Peyton winning big.
And then, Dave, I expect this to be another who are you going to pick in this one?
I know it is.
Niners, and if we're talking to the San Francisco players, it's not the Seahawks, it's the She-Hawks.
You know, the Seahawks, if you listen to the podcast on a regular basis, you know I'm not so high on these Seahawks. I don't trust Russell Wilson just yet.
R-Dub. Got to go with my boy R-Dub.
It's a little too fluky for me last season, so I'm not quite buying it, even though I know they are a very complete team.
Go full beast mode, baby. Beast
I'm taking
mode.
Kaepernick to get this one done. He just lit up the Packers.
Give me
Yeah,
them Skittles.
The Seahawks are a more difficult
What are you even
defense.
saying, Ricky?
I'm just ignoring everything that he says.
like, he's going to be like, jambalaya.
I'm giving my pick.
Jabroni.
I'm giving it pretty early who my pick is.
The Seahawks
Talking
have a
about
good
Lynch, talking
defense,
about
but
Skittles.
Kaepernick will get it done anyways.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Ricky,
I'm
your
going
go.
Seahawks. I'm going Seahawks. Beast mode. Lynch is going to be eating those Skittles all day. R-Dub, baby. Let's do this.
I'm with the reasonable person here who's not shouting out random words like he's got some mental issue. I too agree that I think this 49ers team, just too talented. And Quan Bolden. I got to wonder, what the hell is wrong with Baltimore?
But wait a second. Wouldn't you go with the team where you said if there's one defense in the league that you're scared of, it's the Seahawks D?
I agree.
You said you're scared of that D, so
I
why
am.
shouldn't the Niners be scared of it and you should go with the Seahawks? That's what I'm seeing logically from if you're scared of that
You
D.
got 2 big corners. That means that they're going to be out covering man-to-man, obviously. So that means that when Kaepernick breaks free, they're not the quick 5'8" guys who can, make those breaks. They're the big 6'4" guys who are able to do bump and run coverage with anybody. So, they got advantages and disadvantages for having the size on that defense. My thing is, Anquan Bolden, what the
Why'd you let him go?
Yeah, I'm just confused, and I think that the Baltimore Ravens should just feel abused. It's amazing.
Abused.
10 years ago, this man 10 years ago in the league, him being this age would be a huge deal. There's no way his body could hold up to legal hits that were allowed at the time. At this point, he's got a safety blanket on, some bubble wrap. He's going out there making every catch possible without any warning, getting nailed over the middle. Anquan Bolden looks like his career is just I flipped the switch, I'm back to amazing.
And here's the thing, when you're Baltimore, you pay that huge-ass contract to your star elite quarterback, who then goes out and has some trouble because you don't have money to pay his weapons. You can't dedicate all your money to one
They just
guy.
let him walk.
They let him go. They just didn't care.
Make
They
him an
wanted to
offer at
save the
least.
money.
He won the Super Bowl.
He probably would have stayed for a
Gotta
hometown
give all
discount.
that money to the quarterback. Gotta give it all to the quarterback.
And that's what
He's
happens
my
when that
quarterback.
defense is weak as hell and there's nobody for Flacco to throw
The
the ball to.
49ers are just too much of a complete team all around, no weaknesses. I think the Seahawks last week was kind of a fluke because it was the whole West Coast to East Coast early morning game. We saw them, they didn't look great, but Russell Wilson really turned it on as of late.
I kind of feel, though, that especially Russell Wilson, and I expect Marshawn Lynch to be better in this game. He only had 43 yards last week, but I expect him to be better. Wilson picking up his game whenever the Niners come to town.
All right, we'll see it.
And then last but not least, the Monday night game. AFC North 0-1 2.0. I think the Steelers are going to be last place in this division after this week.
Yeah, you lost your center. You're
Yeah, they look pitiful, and I was kind of high on the Steelers coming into this season, so it's a little unfortunate.
Mr. Big Ben's a tank. Big
He's a
Ben's
tank.
invincible.
But no, see, the problem isn't Big Ben. The problem is that they didn't give Big Ben.
They let him walk. They let Mike Wallace go because they couldn't pay enough money. Because Mike Wallace doesn't care about winning; he cares about money.
Cash money. Bengals, they should have beat the Bears because they just couldn't get it done at the end, and they had stupid-ass mistakes.
Oh man, those penalties! What are you doing fighting with just linemen fighting at the end of a game when you could have knocked out when they could have been out of field goal range entirely? Nope. Let's give him an unsportsmanlike conduct, 15 yards, walk it up, field goal range, no problem.
Exactly. Bengals, they should be embarrassed for the way that game went down. They got to win this one.
So we're all going Bengals?
Yep.
We are indeed. Too many weapons on that offense, too good of a defense.
Last but not least, the shift over to the college side, the game of the week, Texas A&M, Alabama. Last year, Johnny Manziel, 253 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, and on the ground, 92 yards as well.
Won a Heisman that night.
Bama is the number 1 team in the nation. Texas A&M is 6. Who wins and why?
Numbers don't matter in this game when it comes to rankings.
But Dave, numbers never lie.
Numbers lie all the damn time. If you've ever watched that show, which I don't recommend anyone watches anymore because they've ruined it. Absolutely ruined it. Back to the main point is numbers don't matter in this game as far as rankings. And I love watching Manziel just go out there and play the game. He's just such a raw talent. And it's fun watching. It reminds me, I hate to be a homer, but it reminds me of Jay Cutler in college at Vandy. Except he's more athletic. He's got more talent than Cutler did. And I think they're going to win. I say they're going to spoil Alabama's party, win a game here.
I'm not so sure. I believe in the Alabama defense. They get it done. And here's the thing. They got embarrassed by Johnny Manziel last year. Johnny Manziel came out there as a freshman and said, I don't care who the fuck you guys are. I'm going to beat you.
But that offensive line of Alabama looks so weak week 1. I was
think
like,
they got to
oh my
step it
God.
up. I think you get Saban in practice, getting those boys to play the way they should.
Well, and the one thing that one of the big features in SI this week was they had a huge feature on the 8 ways to beat Alabama. And I'm reading it and I'm going, okay, so you're basically telling me play a little bit like Texas A&M did last year with Manziel, but play defensively like LSU did in the, I think it was the 9-6 win that LSU
Man, that was a
had,
great game.
where you force them to field goals.
That's an exciting, low-scoring game, and those don't happen often.
I feel like Johnny Manziel's going to do exactly what he did last year, and we saw last week, Nick Saban after the game, he had a look on his face like, I'm kind of scared because, I mean, Virginia Tech to open the season showed the country, hey, we didn't do it effectively. We could have done it better, but this is what you do on defense to try to stop Alabama.
Too many offensive problems for Bama. That's my thing.
Nick Saban knows he's got some problems with the Crimson Tide this year.
But he's a good coach. He can get it fixed. This is a team that knows what they're doing. They've had problems where they've lost a game early on and still came back to just dominate later. They're not the best early season team.
One of the biggest things, then this is the one thing that I take away from that SI article, they said, just get it to the fourth quarter. Stick with Alabama to the fourth quarter, because what Alabama does is they run up the score big, and then they kind of back off and let you back into the game, but they still win. Keep it to the fourth quarter. Manziel will do that no problem.
I think this game is not going to be as close as you guys think. I think A&M's going to blow this one wide by
Right from the word
halftime.
go?
By halftime, they'll be up more than a touchdown.
Why?
I have no
Just
faith.
Manziel?
I have no faith in Alabama's offense. After watching their game, I have very little faith in that offense.
Let me pose this question. If Texas A&M wins and if Oregon beats Tennessee,
Oregon's number 1 still.
Oregon's number 1.
Absolutely. A&M is 2.
Even if Ohio State beats Cal and they're
Yeah.
number 4.
Cal is good, but not great. So I would give the jump for beating the number 1 team in the nation, going 3-0.
I gotta say, you got the guy who just won the Heisman. If you beat the number 1 team and you're an SEC team, you play top talent, you're number 1.
So you're saying Texas A&M should jump Oregon, Clemson, who Clemson doesn't play this week, Ohio State, and Stanford to number 1 if they beat
You
Alabama.
just beat number 1. Congrats, you're number 1.
How far does Bama fall? If they lose,
7.
you think they should fall to 7? Should they fall out of the top 10?
I mean, no, they shouldn't fall out of the top 10. They're still the national champions from last year. They're still a great team. They've got a lot. The problem is, they didn't play so great last week. If they lose this one, especially if they lose big, they got to drop. Not too far. You can't get too high on it because this is Alabama. They don't do great at the very, very beginning.
Yeah, wins and losses don't really equal your true skill level. And that's why I think that even if they do lose, they won't get put below Georgia. So, I mean, you're guaranteed a top probably eight spot, even if they do lose. which I do believe they will.
Well, I think Texas A&M is going to win this game. I said it. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than what Dave's saying, but it should be a great game nonetheless. Whenever big SEC teams get together, I know we always bash the SEC, but it's always
a real
always
football
good
league.
Game. It's the closest thing to the NFL you can get in college. And that's going to do it for the Onside Kick this week. Don't forget to comment down below. We love talking to you guys about the sports that we bring to you each and every week. And as always, have a good day, everybody.